Howdy Howdy and welcome back to Gale FFTCG. I'm Serah, your host, and today we're looking at an Army of One deck tech. I've been really impressed by this list, but not the versions that have been commonly running around. Maybe I'm just not good enough of a player, but this is my take on the list, and I'll go through the reasoning as to why mine is very different from some of the ones that we're seeing top cut in Japan. Our archetype is Tempo Midrange, and it revolves the new 6-cost Lightning that when it enters the field, you reveal the top 5 and add all Lightning and Odin cards to hand and put the rest on the bottom. When Lightning enters the field or attacks, you can discard a card, and when you do so, you can choose a forward and break it. If the discarded card is a card named Lightning, you also get to draw a card. Our strategy is to apply pressure to our opponents with Lightning. The pros of this deck are a reload that is nearly unbeatable in any other list. They can try and deal with the Lightning, but we have a lot of ways of getting it back or searching it out. And that means that even on turn 1, we can play this Lightning, fill our hand back up, and be ready to go on the offensive. It's very proactive, but at the same time also very reactive. We have a lot of ways of interacting with our opponents, a lot of EX bursts that can break things. This deck just has a very good sword and shield feel to it. The cons? The skill 4 is extremely high. I certainly have not mastered this, but let me know down in the comments if you can. And while you're at it, feel free to subscribe and like the video. The EX bursts that other people have are very good into this list, since we're really only attacking with maybe 1 or 2 forwards every turn, which is good on its own because we have ways of removing them. EX bursts can really punish that kind of strategy. And we can easily lose to mill because we're checking the top 5, and there's cards that draw, and there's cards that search. It's very easy for our opponent to just win by milling us out if we can't get this game finished quickly. The entire list is running 16 forwards, 9 backups, 1 monster, and 24 summons. The price point, it's about a medium price range. Some of the Lightnings are a bit old now and are quite hard to get, but it shouldn't set you back too far. Most of the Odins in this list are rare and below, and even the hero ones are very easy to get a hold of or have been reprinted quite a few times. Lena is also a bit of a hard card to get a hold of, so that might be a consideration. I'm giving this a 5-star difficulty because it is a very challenging list to master. Our forwards are 3 of the 6-cost Lightning, which I've covered already. It's just a very good card. It's the main engine of our list. Being both a reload and a removal piece is very powerful. But it is worth knowing when to keep this Lightning around or use its own ability to destroy itself to make way for another Lightning. There's a little trick here as well that I'll get to in a bit. And like I've said, knowing when to break your opponent's forwards or your own Lightning is a very important skill, and you need to have a very good situational awareness of what the list is trying to do. We're on 2 copies of the new Light Lightning that was printed in this set. When Lightning is in any zone and removed from the game, you can pay 4, and if you do so, choose 1 forward opponent controls, remove it from the game. This doesn't come up often, but is very good against cards like Mist Dragon and other break zone removal. The main reason we're running this card, though, is that it has 6 cost, remove Lightning in your break zone from the game. You can search for 1 card named Lightning of cost 6 or less and play it on the field. You can only do this ability during your turn and if Lightning is in the break zone. This is really good with the 6-cost Lightning because you can discard this to break something or break your own Lightning, then play in a different Lightning with the cards that you got off of the 6-cost Lightning entering. It's very strong, lets you set up for when you need. It's the secondary engine of the list. important if we don't have the correct lightning. I was initially on 3 in older versions of this list, and you could easily go to 3 if you feel like you want it, but it's a light card, and I found sometimes it clogs your hand. It just also doesn't feel very good to play to the field. It's a big body, but then you're not really getting the full effects of what's going on there. Can easily punish break zone removal, as I've covered. And next but not least, in fact, probably one of the most important cards in the entire list, is the 5-cost Lightning. It's a 9k with haste. When it's put from the field to the break zone, you can play one category 13 forward of cost 6 or less from your hand onto the field. And as you might have guessed, that's a 6-cost Lightning usually, which you can reload really well with. It also has discard one card named Odin, choose one forward opponent controls, break it, and Lightning. It's the best interaction in the list. We've got a big attacker, but also we can choose to attack with this and then also potentially break it to bring down something, refill our hand on our opponent's turn, and also be able to kill off something with its own ability. It's your best attack and defense option, like I've covered. And this card's last ability specifically, stacks as Lightning, only breaks on resolution. Leverage this to your advantage. So you could discard multiple Odins if you like. All those abilities will go on the stack because that's a cost. Your opponent can't actually respond to that. They can try and blank Lightning or something like that, but at that point those abilities have already gone on the stack. So if you have, for example, 3 Odins in hand, you could pitch all 3 to break 3 things and then also maybe deploy a Lightning after the fact. Destroying this card, obviously, to bring out the 6-cost Lightning on your opponent's turn is very strong. You can sometimes end up with far better cards, and you don't have to discard down to hand size if it's on your opponent's turn. We're running 3 of the 2-cost Legend Lightning, which has haste. When it enters, choose a forward opponent controls, dull it, and draw a card. We can pay 2 to remove 1 Lightning and 1 card named Odin in the break zone from the game to play Lightning to field. You can only use this ability during your turn if Lightning is in the break zone. But sometimes this is enough where you've managed to keep your opponent off of all their good stuff over and over and over, and eventually this Lightning just comes through, sneaks out a win against your opponent, and yeah. The dual element is also really important in this list. This discards for water or lightning, so knowing when to use this can be really important, and we don't feel too bad about discarding it because we can get it back later. It can sneak out wins against decks that aren't prepared for it, as I've already covered. It's easy to fill up the break zone with Odin and Lightning. Basically, that's our entire deck anyway, so getting off this ability is very, very easy to do. We're running 3 of the 3-cost Water Lightning. When Lightning enters the field, choose 1 forward. If the number of forwards your opponent control is greater than the number of forwards you control, remove it from game. We can also use the Switch Schemata special to remove Lightning from the game and play Lightning onto the field at the end of turn. It's worth noting that if you do use this special, you can remove this Lightning from the game, play a very different Lightning, and then when it checks for resolution of the ability at the end of the turn, you won't be able to play that Lightning because of the rule that says you can't play characters of the same name onto the field. It's most importantly actually the elements. Water is something we're not running a ton of, so being able to just pitch this for water crystal points is very, very good. It's very good into matchups with recursion, especially mono earth, I've found, where you can play this, your opponent's played out a big board, and then you remove something that they could recur, and that can be very annoying. You can use the special to set up your break zone or play another Lightning, as I've said already, but it is worth it really is quite good because it's another way of discarding Lightnings that you either don't want, or maybe you need to clear your board so that you can get in the Lightning you do want. Don't underestimate that special, for sure. Now, here is where my list starts to diverge a little. I realized that the biggest problem with the list when I was playing it was that Lightning, if your opponent had really good interaction, your Lightning just kind of lost. Especially in matches where you're running against Kukulain or Amaterasu. Both of these can be annoying. They might not even kill your Lightning, but they can stop it from doing the thing it wants to do, and you'll be down quite a few cards, and your opponent won't have to worry as much. So my answer to that was 2 copies of Siren 5. When one or more of your opponents, or forwards you control, are chosen by opponents' summons or abilities, you can put the top card of your deck into the break zone, and if the card put into the break zone is not a forward, you get to cancel its effects. At damage 3, if Siren is dealt damage, you reduce it by 1k. It's definitely the best protection in the list, and it's not even close. There isn't a lot of it, so the fact that you can even get this is pretty great. Since we're usually on only 1 or 2 forwards, making sure that they stay alive is vital, so Siren being able to keep our forwards alive, including herself, is very good, and it means that if this sticks around for any number of turns and protects our lightning, or even itself for at least 1 or 2 turns, we'll be sitting pretty fine. With only 16 forwards in the deck, the hit rate is actually relatively high, and even if you don't hit it, you'll be milling lightnings into the break zone, which includes the 2-cost ones, so there's not really a downside to playing this card all that much. And it can set up the break zone, like I just said. On to our backups. We're on 3 copies of Lena because of what I mentioned earlier. It is very, 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 very hard for us to come back if our opponent hits a very good EX burst. So being able to draw cards off of our EX burst is very good. Also being able to use the special, choosing a forward of cost 3 or less in the break zone, playing onto the field dull. This means we could get back our 3-cost lightning. Even our Siren can be quite important here. So yeah, just overall a very good card, and I wanted to run it. That's one of the other things that diverges away very much from the other versions of this list. Gains advantage when attacking, can revive some lightning for defensive measures. EX burst that draws a card is also very good for setting up. If our opponent, goes aggressive, and then we hit a Lena, we're feeling pretty good about that. And it generates water, which is very important for this list. We're on 2 copies of Lumina that just searches for 13 forward and adds it to our hand. If we see this in our opening hand, it's very, very easy to just play this on turn 1, go and grab the lightning that we need, and wait for next turn to actually set up. We're also on 1 copy of Alize. When it enters, choose a character without a multiplay icon in your break zone. You can search for 1 character with the same name and add it to your hand. Again, it's just another copy, basically, of Lumina, but it means that we have some name diversity, and it also means that potentially, if we even have a Siren on the board, or because it is character, we could get a Lena special with this. It's just generally more wide-reaching in what it can do. Vital for searching lightnings and or Siren. Gives some name diversity. And yeah, moving on to the next one. Forgot my animation there. Oh no. We're on 3 copies of Larsa because it is a water backup. When it enters the field, you can search for a forward of cost 4 or more and add it to hand, which is the 5-cost lightning and the 6-cost lightning. Vital for searching lightnings. It can't hit Siren. Apologies, that's a mistake. Gives some name diversity, which is very important in this list, and it generates water. For our summons, we're on 6 copies of the 6-cost Odin. It costs 1 less for each Odin in our break zone. It can't become 0, but that's alright. Still, paying 2 costs to destroy literally anything is very good. Gets cheaper with time. Keep this card in hand as much as possible. Your opponents will be building a field that's definitely bigger than yours, so any way that you can control that or keep the flow of the battle in your favor is going to help you quite a bit. And it is one of the best removals in the list. Up next, we're on the 3 of the 5-cost Odin. It's an EX burst that breaks a forward of cost 5 or less, and if we have received 5 or more damage points, we can make this cost 3 less. So it's actually usually just 2 cost. This is very, very strong. Gets cheaper in the late game. Very strong EX burst as well. Your opponent hates to see this. And yeah, we're on 3 copies of the 9-cost Odin, which is an EX burst that breaks a forward as well. And before paying the cost for Odin, we can remove 6 lightning cards in our break zone from the game to reduce the cost required to cast Odin by 6. It is very easy to pay the alternate cost, especially because you're milling a ton with Siren. You're just discarding cards and you don't really care about what you're discarding most of the time. This can be really easy 3-cost play, especially if you have one backup and this and another card in hand. You'll be able to cast this without much fuss. It's a very strong EX burst, obviously. This can be insanely good. I'm on 3 of this Odin. It can choose 1 forward or monster of cost 4 or less. Break it. If you have 5 or more lightning characters, also draw a card. 9 times out of 10, you will not be drawing that many cards with this. But, admittedly, the reason this is in the list is actually to do with the monster lists. Mono water and wind water monsters specifically can really feel quite bad into this list. So, being able to go breaking a Sahuagin Chief or an Atmos can feel really strong. So I think this is great. Also, it's just a cheap removal for forwards too, so this pulls a bit of double duty. There you go. It's also really good in the mono win matchups, especially where, well, Atmos, actually, at the time of recording, I can't believe I forgot this, it has been banned, so this is really still very strong into every, it's just very generically good into those matchups where you don't have a lot of interaction for monsters. We really need those. It is cheap removal as well. We're on 3 copies of the 2-cost Odin. When you cast it, you can select one of the 2 following actions. Choose a forward of cost 2 or less and break it. Particularly good in the Knights matchup, that 2-cost effect. Or we can choose a forward of cost 4 or less, and if we've received a point of damage this turn, we can break it. So this is also particularly good, especially against more aggro lists. It's just cheap removal into those. Good into Knights and aggro strategies, and cheap removal, as I've already covered. We're on 3 of the 7-cost Odin. You're basically never casting this card, but it does choose a forward and break it, and it's a very good EX burst. And probably best for discarding for costs. So if you're like, oh, I'm not sure what I want to discard, this card is probably the first thing in your flow chart of when you pitch it. And last but not least, we are on 3 copies of Kukulkan the Impure. Choosing a forward and blanking its abilities is very good. Also card draw. It's a good EX burst as well. Sometimes your opponent just does not want to see this. When you blank one of their stuff and draw a card, just generically quite good. It is also one of the best defensive plays that the deck has access to. Sometimes your opponent just plays a card that you're like, I don't want to deal with that effect at the moment. Let's just blank it and give us some more time to push for game. Oh, sorry, not last and not least. 3-cost Odin. Choose a forward of cost 2 or less, break it, and draw a card. Again, very strong against aggro strategies, but you can pitch this pretty early on. And it's not necessary in every matchup. So sometimes this is very good in these 2-cost matchups, especially Knights, but more often than not, you're probably not going to play it. We're on 1 copy of this Odin. Choose a forward of cost 3 or less, break it, or choose a monster of cost 3 or less, break it. This list really, really doesn't like monsters, so that's why I've added this one. It is also redundant. It is redundancy for the Opus 21 Odin, kind of like I just covered there. And it's not necessary in every matchup. Again, you can pitch this quite easily, and you'll feel fine about it. For our monsters, we're only on 1. We're on Echidna. When it enters, choose a summon in your break zone, add it to hand, and you can discard a summon, and then until end of turn, Echidna becomes a forward with 8,000 power. When it attacks or blocks, draw a card. Very strong. It's just recursion for our Odins, so maybe this is a little bit later in the game. We can play this down, decide what Odin is best for the matchup, or just an Odin in general can be quite good if we have the 5-cost Lightning. It just means our opponent now knows, oh, I can't get rid of this Lightning without losing my stuff. Maybe you have a bigger hand already. They have to just be a little more cautious. It's also hard to remove body because it's a monster. Unless your opponent's running monster break, this is going to stick around. It's a big body, and it will draw you cards as well. For our limit breaks, we've got one copy of Leo. Not much to say here. It's just a good card. Draws us an extra card. We're on one copy of Gilgamesh. When it enters the field, select one of the two following actions. Choose one forward of cost 1, break it. Remove or choose 2 cards in your opponent's break zone and remove them from the game. The break zone removal is very key, especially against things like Mono Earth. Really anything that's running recursion at all. Again, good against recursion. I do actually want to go back to this for one other thing. This is particularly strong in the Mono Earth matchup. Being able to break 1 CP Leo is insanely strong. Just trust me on that. I have played this card in the Mono Earth matchup quite a few times, and it is very, very good. So definitely be willing to play this into matchups where you think, oh, my opponent has specific engine cards or specific things that they really want in their bin. This is really quite good against 7-wall as well. Just this Gilgamesh does quite a bit for you. There we go. Tonberry Cactuar. It's a limit break 2, 5 cost. When it enters the field, select one of the 2 following actions. Choose an active forward of cost 3 or less, break it. Or look at the top 2 cards of your deck, add 1 to hand, put the other on the bottom. Situational removal, but quite good removal. This can remove an Axe Star that has an attack. This can remove a Witch of the Fens that has an attack. Very, very good stuff. And it's card draw. And card draw is always good. It's, yeah, like I've said, it's very important in the Mono, Water, and Warriors matchup. 4-cost Cloud, similar to our Tonberry Cactuar, except that it's an 8k body. So, very strong. When it enters the field, we can choose 1 forward of cost 3 or less and break it. So it's a little less conditional in that way. Situational removal, as I've said, important in the Mono Water and Warriors matchup, but just in general, it's a very good card. This Lightning is definitely one I want to stop and take a big moment on. 5-cost Lightning, limit break 1. If there are 7 or more face-up cards in your LB deck, Lightning gains haste. This is very important because sometimes this is just your win con. Your opponent's on 6 damage, you maybe can't push for those last points, or maybe you can push for those last points. This is the card to do this, but it requires some very specific setup. You need to make sure that this is the last card in your deck. So you need to have 6 LBs face up, and no LBs left on the field. All of your LBs have to be used up and removed from the field. So bear that in mind. I got caught out with it. Do as I say, not as I do. Lightning also has an effect that when it leaves the field, choose one of the 2 following actions. You can search for a Lightning or play a Lightning of cost 4 or less from your hand onto the field. So you could attack with this, deploy a 2-cost Lightning, duel another thing, attack with that, potentially for game. There's just a lot of weird edge cases. There are some games where you will never use this Lightning, but it's always good to be thinking about that and keep that in your back pocket. Yes, again, be very careful when you use this card. We're on one copy of Nyx, limit break 1, 9k, and if a Lightning character or a category 15 character you controlled has been put from the field into the break zone, Nyx only costs 1. This is quite good, but be very, 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 very careful. Because Nyx, it needs to be a Lightning character that you break. Not a card named Lightning, it needs to be a Lightning character. So, because we do have some water cards that can break themselves or get removed, you will be paying full cost for this if it's not a Lightning character. I have done that before as well. Again, do as I say, not as I do. It's just a large body as well. This is a good attacker. So if you can play this down early for some reason, your opponent's going to probably need to remove it, but they probably don't want to waste their removal on it. So this will maybe stick around for a turn or 2 and give you some points of damage. And it does synergize with the 5-cost Lightning, where you break the 5-cost Lightning, play another Lightning, and then you could play this Nyx for 1. Fairly good. And last but certainly not least, in fact one of the more important cards in this deck, is 6-cost Lunafreya. It's a limit break 2 when it enters, reveal top 5, add a card from among them into your hand, and if it has an EX burst, you can trigger its EX burst effect. This is very good because we have a lot of EX bursts, a lot of Odins. You could play this, grab an Odin in the late game, break something, and then also play that Odin from hand and break another thing, so that's a 2-for-1, very strong. The additional thing to know is that in the early game, this can also be very strong. If you don't have Lightning and you don't have any Searchers, which can happen from time to time in this list, you could still play the Lunafreya. By playing it, you check the top, and then you go, oh, I hit a Lightning, great. And then you're more or less ready to go. And even if you don't hit a Lightning, the likelihood is you'll hit an Odin, and against aggressive matchups, you can go pretty far with that. Yeah, well, that's all I have to say on this list. If you have any questions or comments, put them down below. Don't forget to like and comment and subscribe. That would be amazing. That would mean the world, especially because we're trying to really build back what the community has lost recently. I would be very appreciative of that. Have a great day and a great rest of your week.